Hello there. I want to begin with talking about my new cafetiere French press. It may not seem relevant, but it is very relevant. A friend of mine broke my old one camping a couple of weeks ago, and I've been hunting around for a replacement. I have seen 5, and the 5th one arrived today, and it does the trick. It's solid. The other 4 are typical of many modern products. They're exciting and glamorous, but made of cheaper materials. The glass is tinny, but they are promoted beyond all measure by Amazon and other companies. In the end, I found this new one through a catering company. I suppose for them, it's important that these products last. These skills and this struggling for quality is exactly the same as the struggle for real spiritual instruction and a real teacher. And it is in this manner you learn how to climb the path and how to find what is very difficult to find amongst the noise and chaos of this world. I remember Gurdjieff saying that sometimes he'd spent a whole day reading a book written by a modern man, only to realize that he had only a few thoughts to share, or nothing at all. So much time is wasted, but that's almost unavoidable. You have to expect that. And this reminds me of what I said last time about the old men of the path, people who've been on the path for a long time but still have not threaded the needle. If they admit that, it's painful. I've been there. I've had to admit that many times. But unless you do that, you cannot proceed. Crushing failure is another one of those milestones. I've performed many different types of practices, even mastered them to some extent, only to realize that they work poorly or are misunderstood or are not what I want. And yet, in ancient days, traveling on a great voyage to hidden lands, to the unknown, was considered normal. The Vikings traveled through the northern seas to Greenland and to the Americas. They put us to shame. We are small now, small people. This morning I've been listening to Teilhard du Chardin, who wrote some very beautiful books in a certain style. He talks about the need to build a new earth, a new world, a new model of the universe, as so many men have done in the last century or so. But what is the result of this? When these statements are made, build a new earth, it's like an attempt to invoke, to conceive in the air, a higher feeling, a higher man. But then what comes of it? It seems that they are reaching for an answer, but they do not arrive. They do not arrive. They don't know what to do, and they don't know where to go. I was listening to an old lecture by Bennett given in America, judging by their questions. And Bennett talked about many wonderful things in his fatherly way. He's good to listen to. But where does it go? He talks of world 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It reminds me a lot of the so-called 8 limbs of yoga and the 4 noble truths of Buddhism. They're just numbers. They're numbers. It seems to me that all this is just hot air. It's beautiful, but it's just hot air, because real knowledge is always a structure. If you're a carpenter, you have to learn how to cut many joints to fit 2 pieces of wood together, like a dovetailed joint or a shoulder joint. Many kinds. And the knowledge of all those joints is a kind of structure. It's real, it's practical. It's not just words. So many people are lost in this kind of empty invocation. It's well intended, but it doesn't go anywhere. Eckhart Tolle, he wrote a book, A New Earth, where we're all going to be in the present moment. It has not resulted in a new earth. Krishnamurti, Jiddu Krishnamurti, would say that we should be free from thought. That's not even possible. I don't claim to have all the answers. Truly I don't. This week I've been really struggling with a lot of deep questions of the type, why am I suffering? What is the meaning of it? But I do know some things. I have learnt some things, and as Ouspensky says, there has been a change inside of me that nobody could ever take away from me. Yesterday I was in church. There was a mass with only 3 people there. It was very personal and very wonderful, and I was blessed by the priest. And I felt changed by it, immediately, as if something had been transferred. I don't know what, but one thing I have learnt, another useful piece of knowledge, is that unless you drink everything they give you to drink, you can never really know if it works or not. And only half knowing is not much use, is not in the end going to help you. When I was listening to Bennett last week, he said that it was strange that we don't have control over our feelings in the same way as we do over our body. I can move my hands and legs, but my feelings I can't change. And I have heard Ouspensky say exactly the same thing. And an interesting question is, can I move my thoughts? Or are my thoughts, like my feelings, just changed from the outside? To reach a conclusion or a working conclusion requires holding together many different pieces of information in a state of reflection until something condenses and I have a signal inside me that a conclusion has been reached. It's very interesting watching how this works. And that conclusion, as all conclusions are, is only a working conclusion. I know that, but I work on it. It becomes the next platform. It becomes the lower for the next higher, the next platform, working platform to platform, handhold to handhold, because the journey never ends. A lot of spirituality is presented as absolute truth. We hear Evola and traditionalists and all sorts of people. They talk about the absolute truth. We need to get to the absolute. And that's a reflection of the low level of maturity of human beings. A low level of maturity, intelligence, self-reflection and self-knowledge. They need the security of something big, something ultimate. But in actual fact, as everything continues to grow and ascends and descends forever, including God, nothing is absolute. God is absolute in the sense that it is the point of origin, but it changes. And who knows what is beyond God, deeper layers of God. Everything is exploring and growing. Gurdjieff says that knowledge is material, and because it is material, it has all the properties of material. Once it's gone, it's gone. And you cannot go onto the internet and talk about knowledge to 1 million people, because that violates the laws of materiality. Everything has to be earned, and what you have earned, if you wish, you can share. But if you share it, it has a cost to you. All the utopian ideas that we see infecting the new world of termite man, of machine man. I was listening to Gurdjieff, chapter 39. He said that there are second order laws. In the universe, the etherokrylno crystallizes into active elements, but has no sense of subjectivity. If we apply this to society, what it means is that once human beings are fully mechanical and no longer have any sense of consciousness, any sense of three-brainedness, in other words, they've lost their triam as a camno, then they condense according to the second order law that like things cohere together. If I go back to the thing about emotions, that Bennett and Ouspensky had said that we cannot control our emotions. Well, in fact, you can. You can. For instance, yoga, traditional Indian yoga, there is the sense of, if you have a negative emotion, you feed it the antidote emotion. So if it's anger, then it's kindness that you feed into it. There are higher and higher emotions, and those techniques allow you to investigate emotions, and very close to you, inside your bodies. And you can also investigate it through music and art and so on. If a painter creates beauty in a painting, then those feelings are stored for the benefit of society. They transmit something to society. They cling on to the canvas. They're recorded.